seen. But I think Schumer would not be saying he's going to have a vote if he wasn't confident that pressure would be brought to bear, and if he can get Manchin to move on some of this filibuster reform stuff, I have to think that we could get to a 51 vote with the vice president breaking the tie.
Claire, you served alongside Joe Manchin. Joe Manchin has never expressed an interest or a willingness to filibuster reform for anything. Do you think this is it? Do you think he does it for voting rights?
He has expressed an interest in some filibuster reform. He has not expressed an interest in doing away with a supermajority required to pass legislation. But there's a big difference between filibuster reform and completely doing away with the filibuster.
Right.
And so the question is, what will he be willing to support, and will it be enough to get the important provisions of voting rights across the finish line? I do think both he and Kristen Sinema support this legislation. So they support what's in the bill, which is a big step. And John Lewis, we even have Lisa Murkowski that is on board. So we even have a bipartisanship in one of these two bills. So I really think if they can do some reform that, it maybe won't happen. I mean, Joe has surprised me on Build Back Better, how stubborn he's gotten. And he may play true to form here and right into Mitch McConnell's hands again.
Jason, what do you think is the most sort of helpful way to frame this? I mean, we cover it every single day. The Republican fight to make it harder to vote and rig the counting of the vote in the category of nullification it's in another league. I mean, it happens all day, every day. It's messaged to and among Republicans all day, every day. Vice President's comments in that interview were very strong. The president is strong on this, but it's not a sustained campaign. What do you think the chances are that that changes?
Well, it basically has to, or they're going to lose everything, and Republicans, if they take over the House, instead will come up with some excuse to try to at least impeach him. But this is the thing, I want everybody to understand this, because the vocabulary here gets a bit muddled. What we're talking about with voting rights legislation and John Lewis Act and everything else like that is, it's not reforming the filibuster, it's not changing the filibuster, it is leaving the filibuster intact and just making a carve-out, which is exactly what they just did for the debt ceiling.
Right.
That's the thing. They can't hide. Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema can't hide anymore and say, well, I support this legislation, but I want to protect the filibuster. You don't have to do anything to the filibuster. It shouldn't play a role in voting rights legislation. And that is what they're hiding behind. And that's what I think Joe Biden should be saying. And again, I've said this before, if this is a federal issue, and it is, people's federal rights are being affected, how they can vote for House, they can vote for Senate, you should send the Department of Justice, EEOC, every single agency you can to protect people's rights. It was done in the 60s. It was done in the 60s when people's rights were being taken. Why not do it now?
Jason Johnson, Claire McCaskill, thank you both so much for spending so much time with us today. It's great to see you both. Happy New Year. The next hour of Daily White House starts after a very short break. Don't go anywhere today.